Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing the NFT Preview Card component from Frontend Mentor. Okay, so here's the site that I've gotten the starter pack from, which you can see here. I've opened the index.html. There's also all of these other things. We've got design, images, git ignore, and here is what the final design looks like. So this is what we'll be creating today. And this is what we start with. So we start with just this text on a blank website, and I've done this with live server, so that's why you see it open here. And yeah, let's just jump right into how we're going to do this code. So, all right, taking a look at this card, the first thing I'm going to start with is doing the HTML. So we have this design. What I'm going to do is I'm quickly going to remove this style here and remove the attribution because it's not necessary. We don't need it right now for this. So as I said, it's from Frontend Mentor. What I'm going to do is I'm going to link my own CSS here. So let's do link CSS. I'm using Emmet abbreviation. So okay, let's create a new style.css. And this is where we're going to put all of our CSS rules for this component. Okay, to make sure that that's working, let me just write HTML and let me set the background color to red. Okay, I gotta save that and I gotta save this. All right, so when we save both files, we can see that that's switched to red. By the way, if you don't know how the automatic switching works, this is an extension that I have specifically on VS Code. So we look at extensions here. This is the live server extension. So that means when we have it open, immediately when I can click this right here. So I've already done this, so it's already open as a web page, but you click down here, go live, and it will immediately open your server live like this, so you can quickly make changes and immediately see them reflected in your code. So for example, if we change this from red to green, we can see it's immediately reflected in the code. All right, we don't need that style for now. Let's go back to our index.html and let's focus on how we're going to divide this up and have the cards. All right, so first I'm going to wrap this whole thing in a big card. So I'm going to go to View, Command Palette, Emmet wrap with abbreviation, and I'm going to create a div, which is going to be called card. Okay, quite simple. All of this will be a card component. All right, the next thing that I see here is I see an image component. So we're going to create an image, and we can also write an Emmet abbreviation like this. So I can just write img dot and the class name of this. So I'm going to just call it main image. Okay. That should be working. I don't know why it doesn't work. Okay, we can just do that. Image dot image. Okay, yeah, so I don't know why it didn't want to select that. But anyway, we'll call it main image. And then for the alt text, like this is important for accessibility, describing what the image is, we'll just say decorative cube image, image for NFT card. All right, and then we're going to have to provide a file path of how we get to that. So here we have the images file path, and I assume one of these images will be the main one. Okay, so it's this one called image equilibrium. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to specify the path. Okay, we don't have to go that. Okay, we can just do that. We're going one level up, we're going into images, and then we're going into image equilibrium. Okay. So we can see that image equilibrium straight away. We don't have any styling on this, so as you can see it's unstyled, but in a second we'll move on to the CSS styles. All right, let's go further with what we need here. So we have equilibrium, hashtag 3429 is the title. So let's wrap this, and again, go to View, Command Palette, Emmet wrap with abbreviation, heading 1, and we're gonna call this main title. Okay, save that. Okay, the next thing, and that's going to immediately apply a style here. And this is kind of like what the browser is these are the kind of default stylings that we have. And this is really important to basically have, this is what's called semantic HTML. So instead of having this defined here as a div, which would be possible, right? Like we could just define this as a div and then we could just end up styling this div called main title. That's kind of worse for SEO and for basically the structure of the code. It's better to have HTML elements that you understand what's going on and they're defined in a very like natural way. So when somebody sees this straight away, not only do they see class main title, but they also see that this is an H1, so it's quite obvious that this is the heading, the main, like the first heading or the title. All right, next we have a kind of subtitle here. So I'm going to, again, go View, Command Palette, and the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to wrap it in a P tag. We could be doing this with a H2, but I'm going to wrap it in a P tag just as paragraph or kind of a subtitle. So I'm going to name this subtitle. Okay, save. And that won't have any styling applied to it. All right. So we're going to call that subtitle there. Then what do we have? We have this ETH and we have these 3 days left. I see 2 icons here that we're going to have to put. Then I see a line break. I see this icon and this smaller thing. All right. So I know I need an icon. So I'm going to do image dot like crystal icon. That's what I'm going to call it. That's maybe not the best name. If you can think of a better name, then please do go ahead and do that. And then I'm also going to have another P tag, and I'm going to say crystal, we're going to just call it crystal text. All right, and here I'm just going to put the text that's next to that image, so just copy that. We could also do what I was doing before, where we do View, Command Palette, and then wrap it, and that will immediately wrap it in the element. And you can also do it like the other way. This is basically the most cumbersome part of doing these challenges, is doing the HTML elements, so please bear with me. All right, the alt text will say small icon for Ethereum. All right, small icon for Ethereum. Small icon can be of a crystal for Ethereum. And then the path, so images, icon Ethereum. Did I spell Ethereum correctly? Yes, I did. All right. Now, one of the things that you may notice is the way that these icons are set up, they've got space between them and they're on both 2 sides like that. So that's going to be a display flex that we need to use here. How do we do the display flex? All right, so I'm going to wrap everything here. Where's the text for the 3 days left? Oh, here it is. Okay, I'm going to wrap everything here in a div that's specifically going to be for flex icons, okay? And that's how we're going to style it. We're going to style the flex icons class with a display flex, and then later we'll talk about justifying the content and making sure it's separated from each other and has like the margins. All right, so what we have to do, this is one icon here, we need another icon, so we need image dot and we're going to do clock icon. And then again, the file path for this image is icon clock. And then I'm going to do small icon of a clock. Okay, cool. Save. All right. By the way, when I save and you see that formatted, that's prettier. That's the extension prettier. I also highly recommend that extension. It will make your life a lot easier. So this immediately, like the way that I've set it up with settings, will immediately format the code. All right, as well, 3 days left is another thing that we need here. Okay, we'll just do a P tag like this. Clock text. And then I'll just copy, paste that. Okay. All right, so something that we need to do for this flex icons is we need to make this, again, I'm going to wrap this in another div so that a specific icon is like its own kind of div. So for the display flex, it will only see 2 things instead of 4 things, right? Because if you think about, like, let me just quickly do that. Div.crystal. So, okay, we have this div class crystal, and within the div class, we've got the image and the crystal text. So that's kind of making it into one, right? Like, as you can see, this is right next to each other, and it's one. Instead of it being, so if we didn't have this div class crystal, and in a second we're going to add a div class of clock, then the flex icons, when we do display flex, it will assume that there's 4 elements instead of just 2 elements, right? So if it assumed that there was 4 elements, then these would all be like evenly spaced, and it would look incorrect, right? So we want it to assume that there's 2 elements here. So we're going to do, again, view, command palette, emit with abbreviation, div and clock. All right, save. And then what do we have? We have a line break, so it's either BR or HR. I think it's HR. As you can see, this is what this is looking like right now. So we can see the icons that we have here. We haven't applied a display flex yet. Oh, okay, this is correct because we can already see the line showing up here. There you go, that's the line, so that was correct. And then now let's do the icon here in the bottom. We need to do that. So this will again be another display. It could be another display flex. We can see in a second how that will work out. But that could be a display flex there. So we'll do a div of avatar info. Okay, and within avatar info, I'm going to have the image of the avatar image. That's what I'm going to call it. We're going to say alternative text, image of Jules Wyvern, and we're going to do the, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, but anyway, we're going to do the image avatar file path for that. And then also we're going to put a p tag here of avatar text. Okay, I think that's fine. If we need to change that, we'll just go back and quickly change something into the HTML. All right, I'm going to save that. As you can see, if you look at this favicon right here, you can see how live server is working. If you pay attention to that, you can see that that's automatically reloading. And you can also see that with the refresh button, that's refreshing. So that's how we can see those changes straight away, which is really cool. All right, so let's go to the CSS and begin our styling of this. All right, so first of all, something that we also have to check out is the README. And we have the style guide here, so we need the style guide. So this main background is the first thing. So what we're going to do is first we're going to do the asterisk selector, which selects everything, and we're going to set it to border 0, margin 0. All right, as you can see, that changed something. If you want to see that again, we can save it, comment it out. All right, that changed something. The reason why is because the browser places like default styling. So it places like default border and margin stuff. So if we save, we can see that that's changed. So it's kind of common practice to put this asterisk here, which selects every single element on the web page and remove its border and margin that's built in. That will make our life easier. All right, now I'm going to select the actual HTML, the whole website, and I'm going to apply this background color to it. So I'm going to go here, select that, and I'm going to say background color, and I'm going to go like this. All right, as you can see, that's changed it. That's the correct background color. All right, now card, okay, card. So we're gonna use the .card. For classes, we use this .syntax. If this was an ID, I would be using a hashtag syntax, but it's not an ID, it's a class. So .card we'll give it a specific height. We can give it a height of 400 pixels. Maybe we'll do max height. And maybe a max width too of 200 pixels. Okay, I think that would be quite small. Wait, 400 pixels. All right, is the image within the card? Yeah. Oh, sure. Okay. All right, so for the body, which is the main class that we have here, I'm gonna apply a display of grid. The reason why I'm doing this is because I'm gonna wanna put everything in the center. So I'm gonna do place content center. All right, and as you can see, that's shifted absolutely everything to the center of the page, which is exactly what we want to happen, and will make our life a lot easier. Okay, so we want everything in the center of the page and in the center of our card. I'm also gonna give the body a height of 100%. Okay, and this can also help with centering it correctly. All right, so now let's style this image so that it fits. So we're gonna go here, image, we called it main image. All right, so main image, we're gonna give it a width of 100%. All right, now when we give this a width of 100%, since it's a child element of card, which means it's an element like beneath card, so beneath or nested within card may make more sense. As you can see, card wraps everything here. Image is nested within card. So because of that, when we give it a width of 100%, it's adapting to the max width of the card. So we set the max width of the card to be 400, and now we've set the width to be 100%, so this is filling in that card. I don't know if that's correct. Okay, I think that this could be a little bit smaller. Maybe we'll do something like 360. And for the max height, we'll see in a second whether that's correct or not. The card, I'll give it a margin top of 10 rem. Okay, so now let's start styling the actual card. As you can see, the card's a different color than this background. So we're going to change the background color of that card. So I'm going to go background, color, and I'm going to go and select this here. Control C, okay. Why is it doing that? I don't know why it's doing that. Let's take a look here. It may be because it's ending early. Div class. It's ending early for some reason. I don't know. Okay, we'll see in a second. Maybe that will change. Like maybe this will reveal what the issue is in a second. Anyway, let's continue on with styling. All right, so we have the style guide. Okay, I realized here that the issue, guys, is setting this max height. This was incorrect, so we're going to get rid of that max height, and it immediately fixes the issue of the card. I was wondering why the div was not wanting to behave the way that I expected. Anyway, now that we've got that out of the way, we're going to add a border of 1 rem. Okay, we're going to add a border of 1 rem, like that. Okay, this was wrong. Let's add a margin. Alright, I'm just going to check something out. Wait. Okay guys, now that we have that sorted, we're going to add a padding of 1 rem to this card and see if that's correct. I think the padding's a little bit more. So this is just going to make it look a little bit better, as you can see on this card. And now we're going to do the border radius, which will be like 1 rem as well. Sorry, I keep on, okay. 1 rem, yep, that looks correct to me. Okay, and now we can move on. There's a shadow on this as well, so let's add box shadow. And I actually do think it's this color. Has that applied there? Box shadow black. Let's see if that applies. Black. Okay, I think I need to add like, all right, something like that. Okay, so this takes like 4 properties, I think, or all of these properties. All right, we're gonna change this to the color that has been set for the background, so it looks kind of darker, or I'm not sure if there's something provided within the style guide that's kind of darker, like something like that. Yep. All right, I'm not sure that the style guide provides that, but anyway, we have that for our card. Let's go ahead and do the styling for the text here in this card. All right, so actually we are going to change the font. So the style guide gives us all of the fonts here. So it's telling us that it's font outfit. So let's go ahead, go to Google Fonts and grab this. One moment, I think, oh yeah, there we go, get font, get embed code. All right, we're going to put this into the head of our HTML. So let's go take a look at the head here. Okay, and then we can use the outfit font straight away here. So we can go say body, and then we can go font family is going to be outfit. We should see a difference there. Okay, yeah, we do see that that's immediately changing. All right, let's go to our index.html and see what we're doing here with that. Now we're going to start styling the main title. All right, let's change over to here and let's go .main title. And we're going to do a margin top. So this is going to give us a little bit of breathing space here. So we're going to do a margin top of 1 rem. We're going to do a color of, I mean, it's basically just white. Yeah, I think this is just the normal typical white if we were to type in white, but we'll take it straight away from the style guide. Okay, we can see that the font weight and the font size is a little bit too big. So we're going to do font size 1 rem. Okay, that's way too small. We're going to do font size like 1.5. 1.5 looks okay. Maybe that's a bit bigger than 1.5. Anyway, I can tell that the font weight is kind of a little bit slimmer than what we have right now. So we're going to go font weight 600. All right, that looks a little bit better. All right. Yeah, that looks a bit better. We'll do a margin bottom here of 0.5 rem. Okay, and then next let's focus on our subtitle. So let's do .subtitle. Oh yeah, I wanted to explain why I'm using rem here for font size instead of like, let's say this would be like, I don't know, 16, it would be 24 pixels. Instead of saying 24 pixels here, I'm using 1.5 rem. Rem changes with your browser, so it's a lot better to use that as opposed to using pixels. So that's why I've decided to use rem here. All right, so for this, I'm going to do a font size of 1 rem. By the way, 1 rem is 16 pixels. I think this is a little bit bigger. Yeah, it's 1.25. 1 rem 16 pixels. You can very easily find a rem to pixel converter. So go check that out. That makes your life a lot easier. Okay, subtitle 1.25. All right, this I'm pretty sure has this color as well, but it's going to have a lower opacity. yeah, so it's not as bright as the title. Like, as you can see, this is not as bright. So we're going to set the opacity. So I'm just going to click on the box here and just set it like kind of manually. And this is the last value that is appearing here. So we can just do 0.8. And that looks incorrect. It looks even fainter than that. All right, and I think the font weight is quite delicate. So we can do 400 as a font weight. All right, it's looking even more delicate than that. Okay, it's like 0.5 or something. Yeah, okay, 0.5 looks pretty good. All right, now let's move on to this display flex. So I'm pretty sure I named it .flex icon flex icons, okay. And then we're going to add a display flex here. Okay, cool. Then for both crystal and, so we're going to do .crystal, and we're going to do .clock. We're going to add a display flex 2. All right, as you can see, those have joined straight away together with each other, and we're going to add a little space between. Actually, it's justify content. Oh no, it's gap. My bad. It's gap, and we'll do a really tiny one of like 2 pixels or something. Okay, can we see that? 6 pixels? Okay, yeah, so you see the gap like between the icon, that's what we're adding there. We're adding a gap between the icon. All right, so we have flex icons, display flex, direction will be row. Why is that not doing it? Okay, I have a typo here, guys. That's why it's not working. I was like wondering, I was like, what am I doing with my life? All right. Okay, justify content. We're gonna add space between. All right, there you go. It's working. It's wanting to behave now. All right, space between, and then we're gonna add a margin top and a margin bottom to this because it's kind of not positioned correctly, like it's way too close to this. So we're going to do margin top, margin bottom, 1 rem. All right, that's looking pretty okay. Next we have to do the colors for the clocks. So for .crystal text, that class, we're going to add a color of this like really neon kind of green or cyan. That's what's referred to. Okay. All right, and then we're going to increase the font weight for that because I remember it being like very intense. So we're going to add font weight at 700. Yep, that's looking good. And then .clock text, we're going to add a color of blue like this. So yep, and we're also going to add exactly that same font weight here. Okay, that's looking good. Then next we have that line break, so that HR called line. Okay, so where we did this HR, this is actually a BR, so this was my mistake. So this is BR here. We're going to do line. We're going to give it a height of 1 pixel, and we're going to give it a color of, or it could be background color, I'm not sure. Background color of, let's just do white for now. Okay. Okay, actually for some reason this line is not working with this BR, so we're just going to change it into a div of class line. So we're just going to do div class line. All right, like that. And let's see. Why is that not showing up? Okay, the problem here, guys, is that I'm using color instead of using background color. So I'm gonna just change that to background color, and now we can see that line showing up. And then we're gonna give it a margin top of 1 rem and a margin bottom of 1 rem. Okay, is that correct? A little bit more of a margin on the top. Okay, and we're going to change the opacity here to like 0.5. We'll see how that looks. Okay, that looks correct. Now let's move on to the avatar info. So avatar info will also need a display of flex, so we're going to do dot avatar info, and then we're going to add a display of flex. Alright, I need to have that avatar image be a lot smaller, so I'm just going to set the dot avatar image to be a width of 40 pixels and to be a height of 40 pixels. We'll see how that's looking. Alright, this is the wrong class, that's why we don't see any change. Sometimes, can somebody recommend in the comments if there's an extension that tells you what class names you've named something? Because I've actually looked for that before and I couldn't find it. Maybe there is something like that, but I keep on forgetting what I named them in HTML, and then that's how it ends up with errors. Anyway, we're going to do align content to center. Okay, not that. Justify. I was never very good at spelling. Okay, this is not correct. It's align items. So we're going to align the items to the center. As you can see, then the image and the text is at the center, so that's correct. And then we're going to do a gap of 0.5 rem. So as you can see, that's just going to create a small little gap here. That could actually even be a bit bigger. We can do a 0.75 gap. All right, and then there's a little border around that image. So we can see if we can just add a border here of 2 pixels white. Okay, that's not wanting to behave. 2 pixels white. Border 2 pixels. Okay, I figured out what the issue is here. We have to add the keyword solid to this, and we're going to change this to 1 pixel, I think, because it's quite a slim border. And then to make it circular, we're going to add border radius and add 50%, and that will make it circular immediately. All right, and there you go. There is our design. I think the image is a little bit... The image has curved borders and has... Where's that image? Main image. So we'll give it a border radius of 1 rem. And then we'll make the card a little bit thinner. All right, that's looking pretty close to me now. All right, hopefully this video has helped you guys create this design. It's a really cool design. I really enjoyed doing it. And yeah, let me know in the comments what kind of videos you guys would want to see. I'm probably going to do more of these Frontend Mentor videos, and I'll also put the link to the GitHub repo for this in the comments in the description below. If this video helped you, give it a like and subscribe, and see you next video.